Chael, that's you. That's you talking about a Tony versus Khabib fight. And man, I'm excited about it too. But I just started thinking NBA canceled the season. No more March Madness. No more soccer in Europe. Everything's getting canceled from the coronavirus. We've tried to see this fight, 4 times now? Is it cursed? Is the coronavirus going to keep us from seeing Khabib versus Tony? By the way, I feel fine.
Oh my goodness, what a hard prediction, What a time. You're trying to put pieces of a puzzle together, knowing full well that every single day, no matter how long and hard you work, tomorrow some of those pieces are going to change. Right? That's just the rules. The rules just keep switching. Now, that was for the prediction part where you're asking me, do I think it's going to happen? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But that's on the information that we've already been given and that we have right now. And even in the hour it's going to take me to upload and get this out to you, those rules could change. They have been. Now, I do like the theme that you had, though. I like the theme and I like the point that you had about how many things are canceled and how special this would be. And I think that if you want to talk or make any kind of a prediction, it is that if this fight happens, it will go down as the biggest fight of all time. Largely, there's just not a lot of other things to do. You put that in conjunction with the fact of, yeah, it's been canceled a number of times. We've all been looking forward to it. There's a world title on the line here. There's a world champion walking out of one side to take on the world interim champion, who's no longer the champion, but he never lost that belt. There's a lot of things going on. Also, make sure you understand, if you're just talking about numbers, and I think you'll be able to relate to this, and I know that I certainly will. I've never watched a fight by myself. I always have some friends over. Sometimes 4 or 5 friends at times. Point that I'm trying to make, if we are all not doing that, not getting together socially right now, that would mean those 4 or 5 friends that would generally want to come over and watch it with are now going to have to get it themselves. So if you're just talking about buy rate, if we're talking about business, I feel talking business right now is a little bit cold for the bigger conversation we're having. But in fairness, people are going to have to buy it, watch it themselves. You're going to see numbers go up exponentially.
Hey, Chael, Clay from Vancouver. So I just have a quick question. So there's a lot of discussion about Izzy possibly moving up and fighting Jones. I don't think that's going to happen for a while, but my question for you is that he's said that he typically walks around at around 193 to 195. Recently, I think he's lied about his weight, saying he weighs over 200 pounds. I don't think that's actually realistic. But with that said, 193, don't you think a cut to welterweight, yes, it would be difficult and excruciating and hard, but I think that would be totally capable if he only walks around at about 193. Don't you think a fight at welterweight would be much more realistic for him opposed to moving up to light heavyweight where he might have to put on weight just like GSP did to fight at middleweight? I just thought it'd be interesting to see fights against guys like Covington, guys like Usman. I don't think it's going to happen, but do you think that's something that could be possible? Thanks.
Yes, so you are right in your analysis that you are a little late on this one. And I got to tell you, when that dialogue started, when you started to get John Jones a little bit excited about that, he was also in a division that was really hurting. 205 pounds is saved. Dominic Reyes saved 205 pounds. Then you got Jan Blachowicz comes in. He saved 205 pounds. John Jones deserves credit. He fixed his own division. Now, Izzy is in a very similar spot. I understand that he wants to go up, and I understand that he wants to fight John Jones, but he is also logjam. He's got his next fight lined up with Costa. He does not need something to do right now that would involve being weird and leaving a weight class. And that is a little bit of a weird thing to do. But I do want to address this because, much like you said, I think we are going to see this in the future. I think we're going to come back to this. One thing that Izzy proved, and yeah, he's a little lighter than a 205-pounder has ever been or a 205-pound champion has ever been. That's true. But Yoel Romero is not that much smaller than John Jones. By the time Yoel balloons back up, gets rehydrated, and walked into the cage, he's not that much smaller than what Jones would be. So the reason I offer you that is we did see Romero having a very hard time getting to Izzy, tremendously. And even when they did get in that scramble towards the end of the fight and Yoel scored the takedown and got on top, Izzy popped back up like he was a rubber ball coming off the mat. I mean, he was not down, not even one complete second. And that's with an Olympic and world medalist on top of him. I think that Izzy has showed us he's serious. He will fight Jon Jones. But I also think he showed us that he can beat him. That would be interesting. The size does have a differential. The size is going to be a factor. It's going to be a real thing. But Izzy could beat him. How many times has Jon ever gone into a fight and before the fight you've ever thought that? I would argue probably never. Now, I realize he's been in some tough fights and after the fact go, wow, I didn't know it was going to be that hard. I'm asking you prior to the fight, how many times did could beat him, could lose, ever cross your mind? And that is a very real thing in getting people's attention.
Just a quick one, Uncle Chael. You have fought Jon Jones. What does it take to beat that man decisively? And is there any active fighter right now who can do just that?
I will tell you, for the guys that had success with Jon Jones, which three come to mind. Daniel Cormier had some successful moments. Alexander Gustafsson, first fight, successful moments. Reyes, successful moments. I think you would even have to throw Santos in there, but they all did have one commonality, which is they got Jon to stand up. Somewhere in the fight, they pissed him off. And somewhere in the fight, he lost interest in smothering them or trying to strangle them. He got very interested in returning fire. And the guys that have been in there with Jon that have had the most good moments or captured the most rounds, or that we want to see again, as it would have to do with Reyes, were able to keep the fight standing up. And it didn't largely have to do with great takedown defense. That was a part of it. That was a part, but that's not largely what it had to do with. Those guys somewhere in the fight pissed Jon off. And Jon said, oh, this is what you want to do? You try to punch me? I'm going to punch you back. Oh, you want to kick at me? I'm going to kick at you back. So there's a piece where you got to get Jon to keep it standing up. Now, that doesn't mean that you can go out there and beat him just because you can keep it stand up. Everybody I just named, none of those guys beat him, but they kept it stand up, but they were closer. One thing about Jon Jones that never gets talked about, he is so good on top. He is long, he knows how to use those elbows, he knows how to pass, then he knows how to pin. Passing, posturing, pinning. You slip pounding in, you got the four-piece. That's what Jon does well. If you can change his mind, if you can get him to stand in front of you, you are likely, from the evidence we've seen, to have closer moments.
My question is, this Usman and Masvidal fight, they both have belts. So is there two belts at stake here? Because they're both champions of different titles. So I know if Masvidal beats Usman, he's getting that championship belt and then he'll have two belts. But what if Usman beats the BMF title holder? Does he get that belt? I haven't found any content online about this. I'm just curious. Anyway, I'm Dirk Strangely from Houston, and I look forward to hearing your answer.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you asked that. So, Masvidal has a belt, the BMF. And Kamaru has a belt, the championship. So, if they fight each other, which belt do they fight for? Or do they fight for both? Do I understand the question? I mean, that's very sophisticated. I really appreciate that you brought this to me. Let's see. Of course, Kamaru's belt goes up. Wherever Kamaru goes, the belt goes. Not necessarily true with the BMF, and we were even told that that was a one-off. Allow me to propose for you, we stick with Kamaru's belt. Masvidal, either way, non-title match for the BMF. Masvidal walks in BMF, Masvidal wakes up the next day, BMF, no matter what. If they do it that way, Masvidal is going to compete again with somebody. Does Masvidal bring the belt that night? Because he has it. Remember, he has it, and he doesn't put it up against Kamaru. Wow. Okay, If you get any more big news, please bring it to me.